Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whichever time of day it is, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Daily West Ham. I am Gatesy, and this is Forged from Iron. As usual, guys, please don't forget to drop a like on the stream. It really helps the channel out tremendously. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make sure you touch that bell to be notified of any new content as and when we upload it to the channel. And please don't forget to support the campaign to get Isla Caton the treatment that she needs to fight neuroblastoma. This is in the description below, YouTube and Facebook. You can copy and paste this, put it onto your social media platform. She's a 6-year-old girl that has a cancer that she cannot get treatment for in the UK. So her family have got to fund the treatment overseas. Obviously, all of the travel to and from, all of the expenditure in and around that, as well as the bills that are still coming in the UK. So this is a campaign we at Forged from Iron are absolutely behind. There is a Just Giving link there. So if you have a few coins to put in yourself, please feel free. But at the very least, put this onto your social media platforms to try and keep the momentum behind this campaign to keep this little girl safe and well. Thank you very much indeed for your attention. So first story I want to speak about is this report on the website Give Me Sport. West Ham transfer news: Gold Sullivan were relying too much on their favourite agents. It goes on to say that David Moyes has changed the recruitment process of West Ham. This is according to a journalist by the name of Paul Brown. He goes on in the piece to say, he's quoted as saying, when Moyes went back there, his whole argument was that the recruitment had to change. West Ham were relying far too much on their chairmen and their favourite agents, suggesting players and signing them off of the back of that. So Moyes was all about, we've got to change the scouting network. We need to go into different places. We need to find different kinds of players. And to an extent that has happened, I do think Moyes has more power now. I remember, I mean, I'm sure you do, stories that Sam Allardyce has come out with back in the day, that he'd be there at training and a player would rock up and he'd literally be like, who the hell are you? Slaven Bilic was even on I believe it was a game against Manchester United that we played. And this was obviously after he'd left as West Ham manager. And he was interviewed by, I think it was Jake Humphrey. There was a few ex-footballers there. I think Rio was there. And even he sort of alluded to the fact that there'd be players that would be parachuted into the first team squad that he'd never even heard of, didn't know who they were, and all the rest of it. Now, it seems to me that David Moyes has put a stop to all of that. Obviously, all of the thing about the favoured agent of Mr. Sullivan, Will Salthouse, a lot of the clients of Will Salthouse gets parachuted into West Ham. That now seems to be a thing of the past. And for me, absolutely fantastic. You know, just looking at this particular piece, it sort of goes on to sort of make the point that a lot of the signings that we have made under the command of David Moyes in his second term as West Ham manager, players like Jared Bowen, Vladimir Coufal, Tomas Soucek, Craig Dawson, Saeed Benrahma, these are all players that he's brought in from championship clubs or the Czech Republic. Alex Kral as well, obviously not from the Czech Republic. He came from Spartak Moscow, but, you know, he's come from overseas. And, you know, he's revolutionized the business that we're doing. It seems that he's getting in a scouting network. I mean, the scouting network, when he's walked through the door, but to all intents and purposes, it was pitiful, absolutely pitiful. And I know of a story from someone that's told me about they were actually the board were actually actively advertising for someone to do scouting on a voluntary basis, not paid. We're a Premier League club. We're established as a Premier League club. Why are we operating like this? You know, this is how a non-league club operates. You know, we've got you know, what, 10 seasons now, 10 consecutive seasons, I believe it is, since we got promoted in 2011, 2012. You know, this shouldn't be the way that we're operating, quite frankly. And it seems that David Moyes, strong manager, he's come in and he said, no, can't put up with this. This is not the way that a modern 21st century Premier League club with aspirations of making a dent, you know, operating within our means, obviously, but there's no reason why we can't compete. There's no reason why we can't challenge for the top 8, top 6, as we did last season and got into the Europa League. you know, and we can't thrive. You know, why not? Why not? Leicester obviously did it in 2016. I appreciate that that's an exceptional circumstance and probably happens once every 40 odd years or so. But we can dream. We can dream. And David Moyes has come in and he's seen that behind the scenes, the scouting, the recruitment, it's not fit for purpose in the modern era. He's come in, he's absolutely tore it up. And, you know, long may that continue. As far as I'm concerned, I believe in the Brian Clough saying that a chairman is there purely to sign the checks. That's it. That's it. Now, all right, maybe that's a little bit old school, but David Moyes is an old school type manager. He's not the modern football coach, you know. He will want to pick the players, you know, because at the end of the day, the guy in the hot seat is hired and fired on the basis of the players that he has and what he gets out of them on a match day. So for me, the manager, and he is a manager, he's not a head coach. He's not a sort of, you know, a sort of like a continental type manager. He is an old school. He is the manager. He is the manager. He has coaches that work under him, and you know he's getting the job done. And yeah, David Sullivan, keep your nose out, sign the checks. David Gold, keep your nose out, sign the checks. Let this man do his job. Let him continue to revolutionise what's going on behind the scenes at Rush Green. Long may that continue. The second story I want to discuss is this one here, and this is from the website Transfer Tavern. And this is a story saying that there's a Rush Green source making a claim that we are looking at moving in the January transfer window for Rangers centre-back Connor Goldson. Now, this has actually been a story that's been repeated on several websites. I just picked this one out completely at random, just as a point of reference. This one here says, speaking to a Football Insider, a West Ham United source has now made a transfer claim involving Rangers defender Connor Goldson, as GSB set one eye on the transfer market already. Now, if we continue in the piece, it goes on to say that Rangers ace Connor Goldson is firmly on the radar, with a belief emerging that the Hammers could look to make a move in the new year. It goes on to make the point that Angelo Ogbonna begins to reach the twilight phase of his career at 33 years of age. He will turn 34 in May of next year, May the 23rd to be exact. He turns 34. And it goes on to say, obviously, that his current contract expires in 2022. I will touch on a little bit more on that a little bit further on. But it says that it believes that Goldson could become as a fine potential replacement. Now, I have to be entirely honest. I've obviously heard of Connor Goldson. I'm aware that he's a player for Rangers in the Scottish Premiership, who obviously are the champions as I speak. Now, I've got to be honest and say that I'm not overly familiar with the player himself. No disrespect, but he's not a player that I'm overly familiar with. So I did the usual thing, had a little look on Wikipedia and did a little bit of genning up on the guy. Now, here's his profile on Wikipedia, just to go full screen with that. So Connor Goldson, he is a centre-back by trade, but he can also be utilised as a right-back or as a central midfielder. Now, he began his career as a professional player at Shrewsbury Town. He also spent a loan spell at Cheltenham, and he moved on to Brighton and Hove Albion. Now, he was part of the squad that got promoted. However, his career in 2017 was interrupted when it was found during a screening session that he had a heart defect. Now, I appreciate that obviously he's obviously gone on. You know, that was 2017, February 2017. And here we are in September 2021. He's obviously gone on to, from Brighton and Hove Albion, he moved to Rangers in 2018, signing a 4-year deal when he went there. And he's obviously picked up the Scottish Premiership title. However, I've got to say, he's 28 years of age, and I am slightly concerned at this thing about the heart defect. I mean, for me, I'm just a little bit, I'm not too sure. Although, in fairness, I do remember Carnu, the ex-Arsenal player, when he was at Inter Milan, they found he had a congenital heart defect. they obviously did what they did back in the day, and he went on to have a stellar career. Arsenal, Portsmouth, West Brom, so on and so forth. So, the fact that he's obviously had this heart defect, they've obviously thankfully found it, they've put it right, and he's gone on to have a fantastic career. As I say, he's 28 years of age. He's quite versatile, which we know is something that David Moyes likes in his players, a little bit of, can you move into several different positions should the need arise? I can't really say that I know too much about him as a player other than what I've seen on Wikipedia. As I say, former Brighton player, moved to Rangers, 28 years of age. And possibly a replacement for Angelo Ogbonna. So following on from Connor Goldson, Angelo Ogbonna, it seems, could be about to be offered a new deal. As I say, his contract actually runs out at the end of this current season. Now, it goes on in this piece, which is again from the Transfer Tavern. This goes on to say that according to club insider Claret and Hugh, fresh contracts are in the pipeline at West Ham, with talks continuing over a new deal for Vladimir Coufal. They could also offer fresh terms for Tomas Soucek and Declan Rice. And according to a fresh report, that manager David Moyes and GSB may not be done there. And if you scroll down, it says, according to Calcio Mercato, defender Angelo Ogbonna has become the latest West Ham man at the centre of a potential new contract at the London Stadium. As I say, his contract expires in 2022. He's free to leave on a free transfer next year. As it stands, it is explained that the 33-year-old now, quotes, deals with the extension. Now, for me, I would say sign him up. Sign him up. I mean, he's been a fantastic servant. He came to the club. He was one of the first signings of Slaven Bilic in 2015. And, the first sort of season or two, he was in and out of the team, sort of like, he was rotated. We had James Tompkins, we had James Collins, we had Winston Reid, we had Ogbonna, and obviously moving along, he's had to fight for that spot in the centre of defence. He can also be deployed as a left back, but I don't think we've ever played him there from memory. He's always been a centre back. But to be fair, up until the point that he had his ankle injury at Old Trafford last season, I think there was a big clamour from a lot of people that actually he would have, if he'd have carried on that season, he'd have probably been Hammer of the Year ahead of the guy that actually won it, which was Tomas Soucek. So for me, I would absolutely say get the guy signed up. I mean, he'll be, like I say, he'll be 34 in May, but he's kept himself fit. Age is not a barrier. I mean, you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, he has kept himself fit. Angelo Ogbonna is another guy, and Italians, they tend to get better with age. Defending is part of their culture. And he is obviously a defender. He's got that in him. He's got the experience. Yes, obviously, time catches up with everyone, but he's showing no signs of it. He's absolutely not showing any signs of it. You don't look at the performances of Angelo Ogbonna over the last couple of seasons and look at a player who you think is on the downward term. If anything, I think he's actually got better in the last couple of years. But what do you think? So you've got the three stories that I've brought to you there. David Moyes revolutionising the scouting, the recruitment, all of that. He's absolutely got a handle on it. He's told Gold Sullivan, you need to stay the hell out of it. This is how we've got to do it. We need to be a forward-thinking, modern 21st century club. And he's doing the bizzo behind the scenes. He's getting everything in place, and he's making sure that he's sticking to his guns. And the players that are coming in are players that he has sanctioned, not being parachuted in by Gold Sullivan because their favourite agents were wanting a little slice of the pie. So that's the first story. Second story, Connor Goldson, Rangers centre-back, Scottish champion, former player at Brighton and Hove Albion, is apparently on the radar, is thought to be maybe a possible replacement for Angelo Ogbonna. But then another story in another website says that Angelo Ogbonna is looking to be extending his contract at West Ham, which currently runs out at the end of this current season. And it also goes on to say that there are other people that are being offered an extension to their current deals, principally Vladimir Coufal, Tomas Soucek and Declan Rice. You've got the comment section below, guys. Plenty of content to get stuck into, plenty of things that you can have an opinion on. Let us know what you think. As always, guys, please don't forget, drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, make sure you touch that bell to be notified of any new content as and when we upload it to the channel. Don't forget to put this onto your social media platforms. It's in the description below YouTube and Facebook. Put it onto your social media platforms. Get a little bit of awareness, a little bit of traction behind this campaign. Tell the people what it's about. There's a little girl that's fighting for her life. She needs the treatment. It's very, very expensive. This family needs our help. If you can put any coppers into the pot, you have the Just Giving link there. Please do so if you can. But at the very least, if you could put this onto your social media platforms with an explanation what the appeal is all about, we at Falls from Iron and the wider West Ham community would be eternally grateful. And I thank you very much indeed for your support. And as usual, guys, I'm going to leave you with my usual sign off. Come on, you Irons.